Hey guys, today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Rule Crate. It's a brand new subscription service where if you give us $10 every week, we'll send you a box filled with our stuff. I can send you an iPhone cover.
You know, I have stickers. I do honestly have some Rule Crate stickers to send it to you guys.
I have all the graphic design stuff that we do, so I can just send you flyers of that.
If we can send our autographs to our adoring fans.
Yeah, honest.
I'll send you a beat-up copy of the Blu-ray of Muppets Most Wanted with my signature. And
I would send you my copy of Lucy, but I kind of nuked it from orbit.
Yeah,
it was the only way to be sure.
My copy of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is sort of in half, so might be a little hard to play.
Yeah, see, mine was more intense. I kind of de-escalated. Anyway, Max, why don't you?
Yeah, and it also gets you a free subscription to this podcast, so it's a nice little deal. Anyway, with that in mind, welcome to the Rule Thirds podcast for, filling up your weekly filling of film culture. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be talking about remakes, but not just any kind of remakes. In the light of certain big blockbuster news, we're talking about remakes with a twist. So with that in mind, my name is Max.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Larry.
Get ready, guys. The Rule Thirds podcast starts right now. So, how are you guys doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing well, yes. It's a good weekend. It's a good weekend.
Yes. At the time of recording, Super Bowl's tomorrow. Got a party to go to for that. So.
I'm so excited for that because I'm going to eat so many chips and drink so much Dr. Pepper and care so little about the actor. Actually, my roommate's from Seattle, so we're all going for the Seahawks. So I kind of care just because, and he doesn't care, but
it's the one night of the entire year that I actually give a damn about football. For one night. One night.
Well, I mean, my Super Bowl is the Oscars, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll be honest, I've had a pretty rough week, at least in the beginning. And then I watched Guardians of the Galaxy for the third time, and all was well in the universe.
Oh, that's good.
You guys know that what my favorite movies of 2014 were, but I think Guardians is going to be the one that sticks with me, the one that I'll come back to the most. I don't know, there's just a lot of great moments in there, and I'm probably going to go back to it on a from having a rough week.
And hey, if you want to hear extended thoughts, you can check out the review of Guardians of the Galaxy on RuleThirds.com.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to put on my bragging glasses for a second, which actually look like the glasses I wear every day.
Oh, boy.
By the time you hear this podcast, I will have worked on a set for a professional film that's coming to theaters everywhere sometime in the next 2 years. It stars an actor that you both are very familiar with. And it's based on a book called The Taliban Shuffle. I'm not going to say what it is, because you guys can IMDb that, but it's pretty awesome. I can brag, but
good thing you can put on those bragging glasses for something we can barely even think about.
Good thing you don't want to brag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you know what gets me up? You know what, other than Guardians of the Galaxy, you know what cheers me up, guys? I like really interesting, movie news. Not just the stuff that's this movie's going to happen.
Community answers.
Oh, shit. That's right.
Am I the one that always has to remember these? Is that going to be my thing?
I saw that Whitley responded.
Yes, yeah, that's Whitley right. Our buddy Captain Raccoon Whitley responded once again. And
he said, looking forward to, so these are the movies he's looking forward to, a new Star Wars movie. That would be Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Both Marvel films, being Ant-Man and Avengers Age of Ultron. Inside Out, which we agree, Pixar. Yes. When Marnie was there, I have no idea what that is. I'm going to Google it right now and act all oh, of course. I'm going to get kind of miffed if it's a Studio Ghibli. Just for
how
the
much you want to bet? Do it. Look it up right now.
I am.
How much
I'm doing it right now. Calm down.
Bet.
Calm down. When
you and him
Marnie
about
was
Miyazaki,
there.
man. You and the man.
I can't tell.
Whitley and Studio Ghibli, man. They go way back.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
They've been buddies for years. They always go to the bar together, discuss their problems at home.
No, it's not actually. Look at what is it? No, it is Studio Ghibli.
Okay, well, that was ruined.
Whitley, don't be a stereotype of yourself.
Well, I mean, you could argue that Studio Ghibli is kind of like Marvel and Pixar in a sense that people get excited for the films just because of the studio name.
Okay, well, regardless.
Yeah,
he says
so thank you for that answer. And again, please Willie doesn't have to be the only one. And just keep listening to the podcast, and you'll find out what question we're going to ask you guys.
He has a least looking forward to.
Yeah, seriously, Max, calm down. He has a not looking forward to.
Oh.
Whatever the name of that movie Ridley Scott is directing, that would be The Martian, and it has an amazing cast, and you are judging it way too harshly, and I strongly disagree.
To be fair, Exodus Gods and Kings is a pretty cool cast, and then look what happened to that.
Did it, though? Joel Edgerton has yet to really wow me, and Christian Bale, it seemed like it's not one of his meaty roles.
Also, Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul's in it for like 5 seconds, apparently.
Aaron Paul is in the movie for literally 5, but he barely gets a line, okay? He is there literally just for the advertising campaign. Hey, look, it's that guy from Breaking Bad. That is literally the only reason why.
Well, I think at this point, Ridley Scott does get to get that cast because he's done a whole lot.
Ridley Scott's losing it for me.
We will return to the topic of Ridley Scott and some movies he's done. Yeah. Why don't we move on?
Sorry about that, Willie, but thank you for the answer.
Please contact us, comment YouTube, whatever Max was saying prematurely. I will say
all of our social media platforms are in the description. So go.
So as I was saying, what gets me in a good mood is always interesting movie news. Like, not just the stuff like, this movie book is turned into a movie, or this director's going to be directing this movie. Like, something like interesting, something that like comes out of the blue that you don't expect, but you kind of wish for. And that wasn't the case this past October when we found out a rumor that a Ghostbusters movie was in the works. Now, for years, we've always wondered it's going to be Ghostbusters 3, because that's been talked about by the cast members for so long. And then, well, the great Harold Ramis died, and then plans for that seemed to fall through. But then rumors started to circulate that there would be a new Ghostbusters movie completely starring female characters. Like the female Ghostbusters. Like gender swapped. And I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was, yes, a good thing. I don't know.
Yes.
A lot of people object to it. I personally didn't. And so recently, that was a rumor, and I believe it was confirmed a little bit later, and now we have a cast for it, with the director being the same guy who did Bridesmaids, which was a very popular comedy film back in its day, like a few years ago. So, it looks like there's a lot of promise. Should we go over the casting real quick?
Yeah.
Yep. Just line them down.
So we got Melissa McCarthy.
Of course. She's kind of the superstar, right now. She's one of the biggest names in comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also have Kristen Wiig, who is
just always amazing.
Yes.
You cannot go wrong with Kristen Wiig.
Always here. She's very... even after she's left SNL, she still has that name value
She's doing
to her.
Better, arguably.
Yeah, I heard the Skeleton Twins, which was sort of an indie project she was working on. I heard that was very good. So, good for her.
Yeah, in fact, some people are speculating that her and Bill Maher should replace Tina Fey and Amy Poehler for the Golden Globes. Pretty interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Bill Hader, by the way, not Bill Maher. That's different.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, whap.
Anyway.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
the next two...
Speaking of SNL...
are both from Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Those names, I can tell you right now.
I don't remember the names.
Pronounce the names.
But you're the host. This is your responsibility, Max.
Yeah, I know. And this is... Yeah, it's...
Someone needs to look up the names.
Yeah, and the names are... I give you the names and scroll it. Come on. Here, work with me. Work with me.
Oh, man. This is absolutely great.
It's a late night podcast, guys. It's good. Why the heck is this not scrolling? Come on.
This is Rule Thirds After Hours, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
There's no telling what might happen.
Mm-hmm. So, oh my God.
Okay, so anyway, well, let's wait for
our two players.
I got him. I got
him too. Hold on. Yes. Leslie Jones and Kate McKinnon, two Saturday Night Live stars, I guess, or
they're regulars.
Mediums.
Yeah, they're
cast members.
Yeah, they're very they're prominent on the show. They have a lot of roles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently, if I'm not mistaken, it is Kate McKinnon, I believe, who has like a lot of really good screen presence and a lot of good comedic timing, specifically. So that's going to be good. Yeah. So again, I find this as a completely good thing. Does anybody want to guess who's going to fill what role, or is there even going to be a role to fill?
Do you even have to guess?
I'm going to come out and say it, you guys. I've never seen Ghostbusters.
Well, you haven't seen any 80s movie, so that doesn't surprise me.
I know, because I will fade from existence if I do. It's dangerous. It's a medical condition. Please be sensitive. But I don't care about Ghostbusters. So it's also, I'd like to point out that all the hubbub about childhoods ruined looks way more ridiculous.
It's garbage. Like,
yeah, honestly,
it looks even more ridiculous from my point of view, where you're throwing a tantrum about this movie that I would not care about.
There's actually some plot details going around.
Really?
Well, let's talk about the cast first.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you kind of like when I first heard about this casting, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, Paul Feig, whatever his name. I saw Bridesmaids. I don't know, very lowbrow humor in several cases, which is not really my style, but I understand why people liked it. And I understand why it kind of pretty much shot up the career of Melissa McCarthy, who, granted, is a very talented actress. I will give her that. I am just not... I mean, I think that having those two SNL regulars, I haven't seen that much from them, but they clearly have a sense of comedic timing, so I'm fine with them being in it. I'm just a little bored. I'm kind of bored of Kristen Wiig playing the central character, the leader kind of character. She's so
good at it.
Which we all know she's going to play. I mean, the plot details, she was the first character mentioned. And then you have Melissa McCarthy on the side, and let's face it, guys, she's going to be playing that character. The shorter character, the fatter character, the one who's sort of a klutz.
Why do you think, why do you instantly think that? Why do we have
because
to
that's been her career for the last 3 or 4 major movies she's done.
What if she was okay, so her and the oh man, we gotta learn how to pronounce that. They've worked together in the past. Would it be too weird to like imagine her just saying like, okay, can we please do a different character? And like,
yes,
like, all right,
okay, and here's why. In Bridesmaids, that is literally, if you've seen Bridesmaids, you know Melissa McCarthy's character is literally the pinnacle of just disgusting slob, just gross out character. She had many of the gross out jokes in the entire movie. Okay, so that was one. Then she moves on. She does The Heat, right? That was her next major movie, I assume, with Sandra Bullock, where she is not really the disgusting character, but she's the klutz. She's sort of the out there. She's the outlier, right, of the entire situation, right? And so that movie did well, I think, but commercially, not critically. And then Tammy comes out that she wrote herself. Her and her husband wrote that movie. It's a passion project for them, and she plays practically the exact same character from Bridesmaids, except maybe a little less disgusting. But she plays just the slob, the one who doesn't have her life together all that much, just the one you don't want to be around. She wrote it for herself. And then a trailer came out for Spy, which is her next major movie, where she's playing the exact same character. She's playing the outlier. It's just like, I want her to maybe get a role that's much more meaningful and meaty. And I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of assuming here, but I don't know if the Ghostbusters movie, this all new female cast, is going to be that movie that people are going to be like, wow, I felt really fulfilled. There was a real meaningful message coming from that movie, especially when you look at the plot synopses that have been sort of roaming around the internet. Do you guys know about that at all?
No, I actually haven't, no.
Essentially, Kristen Wiig plays an author on the paranormal. She's a college professor on the paranormal. Already
Professor,
started.
We've seen that in the original. Yeah.
Right. And so she and her partner, I don't remember which one plays her partner, but they wrote a book about the paranormal that sold really well, but then they had a falling out. And so now she does the actual study about paranormal, where the partner sort of does like Ghost Hunter style television reality, sort of ghost hunting, whatever. She gets a new assistant, who's one of them, who's not Melissa McCarthy. And then Melissa McCarthy is a subway worker who discovers some paranormal thing that's happening. And so I'm just looking at this plot, and I'm like, wow, snore, first off. Second off, it sounds so cliche right from the beginning. You already have this distant relationship between two people, and obviously they're going to have to find some way to team up, and then they're going to become best friends by the end. Obviously, because like I wouldn't be saying this if Paul Feig directed something that wasn't as obvious and cliche as Bridesmaids was, which it was. So it's just like, I'm not saying this movie's gonna be terrible. I'm just saying I would have liked it if we got some more unknowns thrown into the mix here. I like that we have the two SNL people who are getting their shot. That's great. Kristen Wiig already's got stuff. I'm sure she's got stuff on planned. There's no doubt in my mind that both her and Melissa McCarthy have other things on their plate. So, I don't know. It's just a little disappointing for me. But I'm sure they'll do fine. I'm sure the movie's going to be fine. Sorry, rant over.
Yeah, no kidding. I want to time that.
Man, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have a lot of thoughts. I've been thinking about this a lot
Why?
ever since
Who
the
cares?
casting came out.
I'm just gonna come out and say I don't get what's so great about Ghostbusters.
It's a lot of fun. The movie's very fun.
That's just,
I have a lot of fun watching Ghostbusters.
I could not
especially,
care. Just can't.
Especially how it's aged. If you kind of watch it in a sort of 2015 sense, it's fun. It's campy fun, and you cannot doubt the cultural impact it's had. It stapled itself into pop culture. There's the entire idea of Ghostbusters and Slimer and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and all of these ideas.
That gets me wondering: are they going to bring that kind of stuff back? Are we going to I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but there's a little cameo.
I forgot to mention this also. Bill Murray. They're trying to get Bill Murray back for the movie, who's going to play a paranormal debunker who thinks the Ghostbusters are frauds.
Now that's.
Hey, have you heard about that before? Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. But where'd it come from?
It's just no. I'm just like it's obviously it's just a play on the first movie. It's just like this movie is being so obvious with how it's just trying to play towards the first movie, and I'm kind of like I kind of want to see something different. We have the Ghostbusters movies. That was a very fun movie, but I want to see something different. I want to see this Ghostbusters.
From the synopsis that you gave us, it sounds pretty different anyway.
Yeah. Also,
it sounds
Larry,
different.
I'm getting annoyed at this. It's not new. It's not fresh. When you have a plot synopsis that isn't even official.
Yeah.
Okay. This Ghostbusters thing wasn't official, and then it became official.
Right.
So,
but Larry, all you have right now is 4 names, and you're already writing it off as unoriginal and stuff. I'm gonna have to ask you to stop. I'm kind of irritated.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm irritating you, Sean, about my opinion.
No, but seriously, it's unfair. It's completely unfair to the people making the movie.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just,
I'm just
saying
Larry, what I am saying.
You don't get to be completely unfair to filmmakers and say whatever.
It's my opinion. Look, I'm not saying the film's going to be bad. I'm not saying that the film should not exist.
You gotta give it a chance, and you can't just say, it just sounds so like.
I'm not saying that the film does not have a right to exist. Okay, I'm just saying that this doesn't feel to me like it's aiming for something like a different message. It just sort of feels like, hey, let's just do Ghostbusters again, but this time with females.
Okay, here's the thing, though. If they were really trying to market it as just, they're really just trying to market it as just like Ghostbusters again. Why would they cast Why would they cast women instead of men? Like why wouldn't they just remake it with like 4 young comedians? Like, it's Seth Rogen to play Dan Aykroyd's character. Like, why wouldn't they just do that? No, they went for a female cast, and I think they're going to do something different with that. I think that's like a completely different
just because you change up the casting for an idea doesn't mean you get something completely different in the grand scheme.
Well, it's also, you could also, I don't mean to get all pretentious here for a second, but you can also kind of relate on, like, human psychology and, like, how interactions with others work. Studies have shown that groups of male friends act differently than groups of female friends, and not all the time, but in certain doses. And I think that you can have a lot of fun with that.
I'm sure the people's hearts are in the right places, and I'm happy that someone wants to bring back Ghostbusters as a property. I mean, I love Ghostbusters as a property. I think it's hilarious, the movie, and I think there's a lot you could work with. I just don't really see the potential as of now for how this new female cast is going to bring something new. Like, I want a really new message. I want something current. Well, wow, idiot, quotation.
Hashtag busted.
Current, something that we can kind of relate to more now. And I just want a message that feels original. I want this I'm a big person about a movie needs to stand on its own. A movie cannot rely on a past, on maybe a prequel or a past property in order to keep itself above water. I want this Ghostbusters movie to be a really good, solid movie without having to rely on the fact that the original exists. And I get it; it wouldn't exist if the original didn't
really
exist.
Be that difficult.
But I don't know. I'll wait for a trailer to make.
I think if it was I think if it wasn't trying to rely on its own thing, it would just be called Ghostbusters 3: The New Generation or something.
Well, I don't know what it's being called. What is it being called?
I think it'll just be called Ghostbusters. I really don't think it'll be the 3rd movie.
Oh, it's not going to be Ghostbusters 3. Just people are coining it.
Yeah, I think it'll just be Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Sean? Like, it just,
He doesn't care.
You know what? Yeah, no. Honesty. Honesty is good on this podcast. I have zero care for Ghostbusters. Like, there isn't a shred in my body that cares.
I would suggest you watch it. I think it's a fun movie.
Okay,
I think you would enjoy it.
But honestly, I think we have a much more interesting topic to move on to.
Yeah. So aside from Ghostbusters, we also have two other projects in the works that are like sort of that all connect to one idea that we're going to get to in a second. One of them is actually a remake of a classic movie from the great Alfred Hitchcock. It's a movie called Strangers, and it's a remake of a movie called Strangers on a Train. The difference here is that it is actually going to be based not on a train, but on a plane. It's going to be directed by David Fincher, the one and only, one of my favorite directors. It's going to star Ben Affleck, and it's going to be written by Gillian Flynn, otherwise known as the writer of both the novel and screenplay for Gone Girl. So, I mean, that's, now, it's weird, isn't it? Like, what do you guys think about this, like, change? Like, it's not a remake of Strangers on a train, it's Strangers on a Plane.
I haven't seen Strangers on a Train, so...
Me neither. I haven't either. But I think the change in location, I think, is important.
Yeah, I think with a train, you sort of have your own sort of ambience you have going into a train. It's grounded, but it's a long vessel. There's a lot of room to explore. We saw that in Snowpiercer from 2014. That was on a train also. So you have potential there, but planes are a very different mode of transportation. It's up in the sky. It's not, depending on what plane he's going to be on, it's not as big. It's a lot. There's a totally different aspect of how dangerous it is. Just, if you're going to go on, I know I'm not one to say, oh, travel's dangerous. I don't want to get in a plane, in the sky. What if a window breaks, whatever. But like, there's a danger on a train and then there's danger on a plane. And they're two different levels. Considering how, plane crashes are a little bit more, I guess, sensitive of a subject in this country than train accidents, I think it'll be a little bit more interesting. Now, you said, Larry, you were telling me before we started recording, the premise centers around a director who's doing a press screening of his movie for the Academy. Well, not like a press screening. It's just like he's going on a... I think
press tour, like getting interviewed
some
by
sort of press tour, for like, he's a director, and it's like award season, and I like that idea. I don't know how they're going to incorporate that in Strangers on a Train, but then again, I don't know much about Strangers on a Train in the first place, so...
Yeah. I'm going to give that movie a watch before I see a new one, because, it's Alfred Hitchcock, first off, and secondly, like, it's just, the change in transportation, I think, is going to be a big part of why this remake will stand on its own no matter what. And it'll have to be contemporary. You can't just, go back and do something like,
I also want to see how many, like, I would not have it on a train. I would not have it on a plane.
Also,
so I can start making.
See, for me, it also feels like it's almost identical, like, to Disturbia, which I don't know if you guys remember, but it's pretty much modern Rear Window. So it's another Hitchcock movie that they updated.
I totally forgot about that movie's existence.
That's okay. I heard it wasn't good. Haven't seen it, but I love Rear Window.
I've never seen that either. I hear that is also very good.
I mean, only wonder what more. Yeah. Let's see. Finally, our last example of a current movie coming up with this same idea, which I'll get to in a second. Yeah, kind of. This is a bit of a stretch, but I feel like we should mention it because it is creating waves right now. It's the brand new movie. Yeah, it's got a trailer, so that means we got to talk about it, right? It's the brand new Fantastic Four movie, which is, I guess, just being called Fantastic Four.
We chose, like, the worst time to record that 2015 preview because the first time we recorded it, we ended up re-recording it. A movie's released, a date got changed. Whatever, we fixed that. But then, after we finished, Mission Impossible's date got pushed up like half a year from December to July, and then Fantastic Four finally came out with stuff to actually talk about. So
well, anyway, I'm excited for Fantastic Four after the trailer. Honestly, it seems to be doing something a little different.
Oh, very.
At least I hope so. But the trailer, it felt a lot like Interstellar.
It felt a lot like a Christopher Nolan movie.
Very serious, very weighted.
I feel like it's like the trailer maker, right, was like told by some studio executive. It's like, okay, you need to sell this superhero movie like the Nolan one. And he thinks the Dark Knight. Then he watched the trailer, like, what's going on? That didn't feel like Dark Knight. Oh, you meant the Dark Knight. I was doing a different Nolan movie.
See, the funny thing is, the original story is that the Fantastic Four, before they become fantastic, go into space and get, like, cosmic radiation. Yeah. In this new version, they don't go into space at all. I think it's like a lab accident.
It's a different universe.
Well, it looks like some intergalactic stuff's going to
they go to different, like,
universe. But their origin is not centered interstellar space.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but I find it interesting. See, the fact is, that is a different, again, that's a different take on a superhero, on a property that I've always felt is very much ingrained in the Silver Age of comic books. It's so, it's silly. It's a superhero family except it's not The Incredibles. That's the only way I can really describe it in a modern sense. Can you think of any superhero families in any other in the Marvel or DC canon or any other independent property otherwise? I can't
really.
No, I mean, I guess
it's a very much an old concept, and
Batman's
with the first try with these
sons, but
and with the first try with this series, it was kind of it was back during the time during the early 2000s when nobody was really sure how this formula for superheroes worked in a cinematic sense, and so with this new one, it seems like it's trying to go for a much different angle, and I'm looking forward to it because it looks like one heck of a different of a change in the in the canon,
for the better.
I agree. If you look up interviews with Josh Trank and I forgot his name, but he's the guy who wrote X-Men: Days of Future Past, who's also working on this project big time. He says he's going for a style like David Cronenberg, which for those of you who don't know, The Fly is one of his most well-known movies.
He's very much the term Cronenbergian horror is a thing because it's basically. I mean, I've always felt it as kind of grossed out practical effects.
Pretty
horror.
much, yeah.
But how do you do that with the Fantastic Four?
I know that's what I'm. I mean, there are effects. Okay, granted, the way they get their powers, which is intergalactic space beams or whatever happens. I don't know the specifics, but
that's the original story. Apparently, the new one is different.
Yeah, but you could make some interesting stuff happen. I mean, with
the
way that
especially with
bodies.
The Thing. You know what?
Oh, The Thing.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, The Thing.
Oh my god, I just realized. You could totally argue that the movie The Thing from 1982, or was it from the 1980s, is a Cronenbergian horror, even though it was directed by John Carpenter.
Yeah,
so the fact there's a character in this called The Thing, that's pretty funny.
That'd be funny if they made a reference to that. But I'm also wondering, I think that Doctor Doom's character may play a big role in how that style is going to be portrayed. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of that in the trailers. So
we didn't get to see much of the super in that anyway. We just saw a lot of
we saw people. The Thing crumble once.
Yeah.
We did see a Human Torch up, and we saw a quick little glimpse of Invisible Woman's force fields, and then we got a blackout to one of Mr. Fantastic stretching his arm out. So
I didn't even notice that. I should go back and see that.
If you look back, it's real tasteful how they managed to get those powers in there. But I am very much so looking forward to it.
So these three movies that we've just discussed, Ghostbusters, Strangers, and Fantastic Four, I think they all have a similar theme in that they are all remakes of an already existing movie or property with a twist to them. Reboot or remake with a twist. We got Ghostbusters, but it's gender swapped. It's with women. We got Strangers, but instead of strangers on a train, it's strangers on a plane. With Fantastic Four, it's not silly, goofy stuff. It's kind of
based
serious,
on a totally different comics universe. It's not based off the old Silver Age Marvel stuff. It's based on Ultimate Marvel. Which, by the way, that was that interesting news that those two universes are actually going to collide into one.
Know, right?
That's going to
be so cool.
The Ultimate series is actually ending, which is
it's because it's.
And did you also know? Fun fact. In the Fantastic Four comic that is apparently also ending this summer.
Yes, Fantastic Four is ending.
The cast members die. Do you guys hear this?
Yeah. They killed
written into the story, and then they blow up in some explosion on a tower.
Oh wow, tasteful.
Yeah. And it's them. You can clearly tell. They call the guy who looks like Michael B. Jordan Michael. They say, "Is Trank coming?" And it's Josh Trank. Yeah. It's I don't know why that is because I haven't heard of any serious anger between Marvel and Fox, but I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting.
Now we have something to look forward to.
Yeah, but these are all movies that have reboots or remakes with a twist. Now, in the past, we've covered on the podcast under a previous name, reboots, remakes that we'd like to see. But this time, we're going to look at reboots, remakes that we want to see that have some kind of twist, and we're going to talk about that right after these messages.
Hey, man, thanks for coming out to meet me. I've just been so down lately.
No problem, man. What's the matter?
It's so hard to talk about. My batting average isn't quite what it used to be.
Your batting average?
My drive shaft doesn't have the kind of torque I'm looking for, if you catch my drift.
So you're feeling some depression from your erectile dysfunction?
Some? I'm only feeling depression from my erectile dysfunction.
Something that helps me is the Not Safe for Network.
The Not Safe for Network? What's that?
Not Safe for Network.
Side effects include rule birds. That's debatable. We have a good life. Long tough skies. Box office battle within men and shooting the show. Do not take Not Safe for Network if you're on Cialis, Viagra, John Legend, or Comedy Central commercials at 4 a.m.
Not Safe for Network.
Wow! My whole world is new. Thanks, Not Safe for Network.
Not safe for network, putting the function back in erectile dysfunction.
Not safe for network.
So, with this part of the podcast, we're going to basically talk about a certain remake or reboot of a movie that we'd like to see, but that has a specific twist to it.
Yes.
Again,
Now, I want to just quickly address that just the theory of reboot remake with a twist is a good one, because people are kind of hesitant on the whole reboot remake thing, and rightfully so, because it feels like it's retreading. And so I think a really easy way to assure people that it's not more of the same is this idea of throwing a twist on it. So
I think
is Fantastic Four going to be anything like the old one? No. People do not need to worry about that, because it's based on a totally different universe in comics. Is Strangers on a Plane, well, Strangers going to be anything like Strangers on a Train? No, because it's contemporary and it's in a different type of vehicle, which in this movie actually matters. That sounds really trivial, but it actually does.
It does matter.
And then, of course, with the Ghostbusters, we already brought up psychological whatever, which I don't know how true that is. I'm just going to roll with it for the sake of my argument. Is it going to be the same? No. Because of the twist, And the twist, that sounds kind of like condescending. We don't mean it condescending. Twist can be good. If we said gimmick, that might come across as a little negative. This isn't a gimmick. This is just kind of what makes this reboot / remake different. It's like this one item. So that's what we're talking about. I just want to specify. And I think it's a great idea, because people aren't going to get it confused or feel like they're not going to be burnt out, Because it's going to be something
it's
totally
not going to be like, you just need to see the remake. You don't have to worry about the original. It's like, we're thinking of movies that have a twist that you can go back to watch, and then also watch the original and get two completely different experiences out.
I'm going to lay this down. Like, you don't really think about it. I just thought of it. I think the Nolan Batman trilogy totally counts.
Yeah, it does.
Radically different from the previous Batman films. And the twist is pretty much, what if it was the real world? That's kind of the twist, and that's a twist on it.
It's
so this has happened before,
recently.
This has happened in the recent past, though that's been.
You can also maybe bring Man of Steel into that argument. Also,
definitely.
Oh yeah, you could totally. Even if its success wasn't as much as the originals, it was doing the same thing. So
the twist being, it's a terrible movie.
Yeah. No, but seriously, the twist being it's a much more grounded, serious tone. Which
also the twist being it brings up a lot more about Clark Kent's past, about his childhood, more so than the original.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so these movies all have and I'm not talking, and not even maybe narrative twists, just it can be cosmetic, it can be narrative, it can be aesthetic, it can be any of these things. But
Romeo and Juliet.
but we're thinking.
Romeo
and Juliet. Yeah,
the twist
that's a good example.
Nose. It could be anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it can be anything like that. Just I think, but the best ideas are the ones that maybe perhaps I'd say maybe I'm going to make a statement. The best remakes and reboots are ones that are not only good on their own, but they don't substitute the originals. Like, you can go back and you can watch the original and get a completely different experience out of it. That maybe better or worse.
Yeah, or just different, Okay.
It's the exact opposite of, what is it, that Psycho remake from Gus Van Sant?
Yeah, which was like a shot for shot.
Which was shot for shot remakes. Yeah.
Ugh, don't talk
I
to
totally
me about
disagree
that
with
movie,
that.
Please.
It's too much. Too literal.
Oh my god. Please don't talk to me about that movie.
Anyway, let's push forward and get to our examples.
Who's gonna start?
So, Sean, I remember I brought up this idea, and you had a great idea right off the bat. So tell us about it. What's your idea?
Do you also remember right before recording when I said that it's really weird and I didn't want to go first?
Oh,
okay.
Is that
first?
No.
Larry.
Actually, I want to mention one thing really quick, because I mentioned before that I want the Casablanca remake to happen with my Dreamcast.
Yeah.
So
really.
I would count that under this. The twist being, it's the exact same script. So it's like a twist by not having a twist.
So not same shot, the same
No,
script.
not shot for shot. No. That's way too bad.
Okay, no.
No to shot for shot.
Not shot for
but
shot. No, please.
If you that's the thing, you're going to give it to totally different actors and directors, so that lines would be interpreted differently. It would be this really interesting, subtle variation of a film that most people know. I think it'd be fascinating. But anyway, go on to a real example, Larry, if you want to do the first full-blooded one.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I have been taking a film appreciation class. I've mentioned it once or twice here.
I wish I could take film classes.
Yeah. So
Me too.
Good one.
Hashtag pipe dreams.
I take it. I'm taking it during my senior year. I've had it for the last semester, and I've been getting introduced to a lot of great talents that I've never really known about before. And one of those talents is Sidney Lumet. Lumet, right? Is it Lumet?
Yeah, I think it's Lumet. I think I know who you're talking about. Please.
Sidney
Yeah,
Lumet,
yeah.
1924 to 2011, 12 Angry Men.
Well, okay.
Oh,
well, hey, why are you
dang,
spoiling?
what?
Why are you spoiling it?
I'm
John.
reading his IMDb.
Wait, is
John.
Sidney is Sidney a woman? Is this Monet?
No, this
No.
is a man, Sidney Lumet. He's a very
Oh,
prolific director. He directed
dang it.
Dog Day Afternoon. Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino is a very famous movie, popular in some cases, and in my case, 12 Angry Men. After we watched Dog Day Afternoon, I did like the second half of the movie. So, my film appreciation teacher said, well, if you liked this director, you should watch 12 Angry Men, because that's really his most prolific movie. So I did, and I really liked it. It's probably one of the best movies
yeah.
I've ever seen, really, and just some of the ways it handles it. And for those of you who don't know, 12 Angry Men is essentially a story about 12 men, not necessarily angry in the beginning, but whatever. There are 12 men who are part of a jury who must decide on a case about a young Hispanic teenager who was accused of murdering, I believe, his father or mother, depending. Close family member is the point. And so, right in the beginning, 11 of them are dead set, just he's guilty. That's it. We're not even going to think about this. And one man, played by Peter Fonda, in this case, he votes that he's not guilty. And as we all know, jury has to be unanimous. So, essentially, the rest of the movie is in one room. It's the same 12 guys, and it's just a discussion about the murder, about the evidence given, and they really get down and dirty about trying to prove this guy's innocence, this one man. And when I was thinking about movies to do a twist on, I was thinking about, we're kind of in this moment right now in society where we are really starting to deal with some serious racial conflicts going on right now in current events. With the Ferguson thing that happened last year, which is probably one of, if not the most prolific event of 2014 in the media. There's a lot of, just very blurred lines going around, a lot of debate, a lot of discussion going on. And with all the black protests going on, and Selma came out, and that sort of pushed it even more. So I was thinking, what if we did 12 Angry Men, and we sort of diversified the cast a little bit? All the men in the film are white. And so, and it is in black and white. So it doesn't really give it too much of a perspective. But, they all come from different backgrounds. They all sort of have different personalities, which is what makes the film so enjoyable in the first place. Some are younger, some are older, some have more strong personalities, some are more, kind of laid back. So I want to see a totally different jury, mixed race jury, some white, some black, maybe some Hispanic even, and we're dealing with a similar case. And I want to see if maybe the cultural prejudices and ideas that sort of existed from the original film have maybe changed and sort of try to bring in the same idea. Same exact sort of execution also. Same room. Also, fun fact, apparently, while they were filming, they made the room smaller as they were filming, like the set. They pushed in the walls to make it more claustrophobic. Nice. So do that also.
Huh, that's interesting.
Do a lot of different things. Keep a similar plot, but not the same. Not the exact same details, but just sort of compare then to now. See how much we've evolved, but yet how much we've not. A big thing in the movie in 12 Angry Men is that one guy has pretty much a huge racial prejudice against Latino people. Like he does not give him any benefit of the doubt. He assumes immediately that he's just a thug and just a criminal and whatever. And so I would want to see if maybe we could sort of play on that. Give evidence details, but also maybe go into a bit more of a discussion about racial prejudice and discrimination and how we've evolved. I don't remember what year 12 Angry Men was made. I think it was the 50s. Am I wrong? Can someone check that for me, please? 50s?
I believe it was, I think the 60s, if I'm not
60s?
mistaken, but...
whatever.
But it was made a long time ago.
Yeah, it was made a long time ago.
The studio far, far away. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, but
1957.
Okay.
I was right. Ha! Okay, so, I just think it would be really interesting, because that movie is so well made. There's so many great elements about it. And I think adding more of maybe a more racial discussion towards it, especially in lieu of Ferguson and Eric Garner and all that stuff, I think it would give it a lot more weight in a different department. Like, we sort of got suspense a lot more in the first, just overall, just based off evidence, but I want more of a weighted discussion about race and discrimination and the way it affects media and things like that. So, there you go. That's my twist. I think it could work. And
I have some bad news,
think about a
Larry.
cast. What?
1997, 12 Angry Men. Diverse cast.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap! Are you serious? I didn't know they
Yeah.
did that. Well, wait, but this was before.
So I'm just
Ferguson,
gonna go back
though.
in time, and we're just gonna go back the whole thing. And Larry, you can just improvise a different idea.
Hey, well, you know what? It's not this. Well, let me tell you something. That was before Ferguson. Things have probably changed even
but
then.
It's
saying.
just funny that it actually did happen, kind of. I haven't
Let me
seen
look
it,
this
so I don't
up.
know if it addresses the same things, but you know.
Oh wait, it was a TV movie.
Oh, but
That's
still.
not the same.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean it doesn't count. I mean,
I'm curious as. Oh wow, it's a real diverse cast. Holy, look at this. You got James Gandolfini, Tony Danza. Wow. All right, I'm gonna have to look if this is like shot. If this is more so like a script exact. Like if they take the exact same plot. Because, my twist wasn't, based off the exact same plot. But I'll definitely look into this.
Okay.
That's really funny.
Max, do you have one?
Wow.
Birdman, but it's a woman.
Really?
No, of course not.
Okay, good.
No, actually, the thing that I've been struggling with is that I'm thinking more of adaptations of properties with a twist and not remakes specifically. And I keep coming. This is going to sound really weird, but I keep coming back to Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I don't know why. Or just cartoons in general. And one of the ones that I think of when I think of that kind of stuff is actually the Flintstones. Now, the twist is actually kind of more, I guess, in tune with the original idea of the show. You see, Flintstones was designed to be an animated sitcom, and a sitcom that was targeted towards the family. The family also meaning the adults. With that said, when the Flintstones became popular, it was not the adults that kept coming back, it was the kids. And then the series itself became much more targeted at children. I think if we saw a Flintstones movie where and the earlier episodes of the show actually was a little bit more adult in how addressed certain things. And there was actually an adaptation by Genndy Tartakovsky, who you guys might know from Dexter's Laboratory and whatnot,
Yep,
who
know that.
made 2000. It was in 2001 they did a short that was a little bit more again adult. I would love to see a live action Flintstones movie that tries to focus on that a little bit more. The twist is that it's a little bit more adult than you'd think. Hanna-Barbera has always been synonymous with kids, and pretty much the reason why the animation industry exploded because of their cheap tactics through the actual animation itself. But it was through this that the Flintstones became so popular to kids. If we were to go back and take the original idea, turn it into a movie, I think the twist that it would be a little bit more targeted at adults while still living in this crazy Stone Age world would be, I think, an interesting idea.
So, one thing that leads into a second. No one would ever greenlight that because it's so strongly tied to kids. And that's unfortunate. I'm not saying the idea itself is bad, I'm just trying to be realistic here. However, that comes with the disclaimer, B. If it was made specifically by a trusted source, and I don't have a live action counterpart, but if you gave it to Pixar, people would expect more of that movie. Pixar makes a movie, they expect more than general kids entertainment. So I don't know if there's a live action counterpart, but
there is a live action Flintstones movie.
But it was terrible.
It was not good.
And so what I'm saying is,
John Goodman is Fred, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yes, you have to find some voice, maybe the director. Maybe all it take would be a director that would tell people that it is going to be more and that they're going to pull it off because of their previous success. So, if you hear, whatever Pixar movie it is, you would probably think less of it if it wasn't Pixar. Just the name carries so much with it because of their previous successes. So the only way to sell us on a more serious live-action Flintstones movie would be such a attached name, whether it be a studio, a director.
You know what? I
just
thought of something. I think I have an idea of how to sell it. Maybe it wouldn't be it would be more serious, but it would also be comedic. And I think the guys who you would go to would be the comedian directors of right now: Evan Goldberg, Judd Apatow, those guys. They do adult comedies normally.
But they also are known
you
for
could get
more,
Seth Rogen involved if you wanted
to. he could do.
I know he's a
Barney,
bit juvenile, but still,
what about
he's
Lord and Miller? Lord and Miller. They could pull it off.
I think those guys have a different approach than what I'm talking about. I mean, because their comedy's great, but they're really good at comedy. And even though they're really good at serious storytelling when in the right area, I think I'm talking a little bit more about it would be about there would be maybe problems in between Fred and Wilma. It would be legitimate marriage problems. Like, Lord and Miller, at least at this point in their career, are much more focused on a different kind of humor that I love to death. I love those guys, but I don't think they're the right match for this specific kind of idea.
I would personally be interested in seeing that idea, and you could put that to any kind of Hanna-Barbera cartoon. What about the Jetsons?
Scooby-Doo, they're all Mythbusters.
Nah. Well, what about?
Fun fact.
Okay, the
Guy who
first
wrote the Scooby-Doo movie wrote
the live-action Scooby-Doo movie sort of played on that idea. I feel like the idea that there might be drama within the group, like in the live-action movie they broke up.
Yes.
Which I thought was a clever idea. The movie still isn't very good, but I think that was a clever idea from the get-go. So, like, I would actually pay to see a drama about, like, the Flintstones having family drama.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo, also known as Guardians of the Paranormal. I'm sorry, I can't get over the fact that James Gunn wrote and directed that movie.
What did he do, Sucker? What was he doing before? Oh, that's Zack Snyder.
I don't know.
That's Sucker.
No, he did Super. Slither.
Yeah, he did Super, and but I just find that kind of funny. And, I think you could also, Hanna-Barbera properties, again, like, Scooby-Doo was always made towards children. I'm not going to deny that. There's no way I could ever, think otherwise. It's a talking dog. I mean, seriously. And sure, Flintstones has a bunch of, talking animals, but again, that was more in line to animation in general. I'm talking a little bit more about, even though there's, it isn't in the Stone Age, it does star Fred, Wilma, Barney, and Betty. Betty, right? Yeah.
And Bam Bam.
It's still based on that, but again, it would be a little bit more, about, marriage and having a kid and whatever, And sure, we could have, a rock pun every now and then, but it wouldn't be as kid-targeted,
See, here's the thing.
Rock and roll.
This strikes me as just a family drama, and then you just slap on the Flintstones, and it totally shifts. It isolates your audience. It makes a confused idea of what the movie's actually going to be like. I don't know if this is a good idea anymore. The more I think about it, the more I think you should just write a good family drama and not care about the Flintstones, because they're kind of awful. I never really liked that show.
The fact is that the Flintstones have became targeted towards kids because of its success means that its true, foundation was never really realized. I don't know. That's my idea, though. Sean, you had an idea that seems to be a lot more well thought out and also weird. So give us yours.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, what about Sean?
Do you guys have others you want to really quickly run through? Were those your main ones?
Well, when you think about twists, most of them just have to deal with not really that crazy. It's a lot of them have to do with cosmetic changes. I don't know. I'll throw it out. What if, the Sting had a female main cast instead of, a male cast?
Yeah.
Would that change up the dynamic at all?
It is good to look into these characters before, for example, Ghostbusters, going back to that. Those four guys, they kind of made the movie. Those guys were all, I think those guys were all, well-known comedians at the time. And so now we have the same thing happening here. People went to that movie because of those guys. Now, with the Sting, does it really change whether or not the characters are male or female? I think a big scene, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I think a big thing about the Sting is the camaraderie that occurs between Paul Newman and Robert Redford's character.
Yeah.
Maybe make one of the characters female and the other one male. I don't know, and maybe change up the setting also, make it more modern or current.
Yeah,
there's still some mafia stuff that goes on around.
Yeah, they're not on the run from some outlaws or the sheriffs. I can't remember. Oh no, they're from the army.
They
or something.
They are the outlaws.
Yeah, exactly. It was
the
a while ago. Okay, calm down.
Yeah, no problem.
And it could be in modern times, and it's more of a road trip movie than an adventure movie. They're driving everywhere.
The police officer in the movie, Lieutenant Snyder, is so outdatedly corrupt. I think he's it's way too obvious how corrupt he is. He goes up to Johnny Hooker, the main character, after he just had bet money. He's all right, buddy, I want half of it. It's what? And in an open place where people could have easily heard him, stuff I want a police officer who's way more subtle about the corruption and maybe more of a focus on how that works, how the main characters are corrupt, but also how police are also corrupt.
I personally always had a soft spot for poor corrupt officials. Yay! There we got it.
I don't.
It's Casablanca.
It's Casablanca.
Hey, Self, listen to me. Man. Don't be a stereotype of yourself.
All right, but come on, Sean. We're here in the end. I
do have an idea. Okay, I have a quick idea.
Be very quick.
Sacrilege. This will never happen because we've moved on.
Good.
But I think you could do something interesting with taking the premise and idea of Mean Girls and gender swapping it. Like, it's like, and that's kind of, I don't know if it's
I would
progressive.
say,
Sacrilege.
Okay. Here's the problem. the point of Mean Girls is examining the power struggles, I guess you could say. Basically, just the social structure of that age group. Girls, in a comedic way.
Gender group. What about the...
Right.
I think there is...
What
it's
would
not
they
as...
do? It'd be so boring. We don't have that. We have some of that.
I don't know if we have that.
We
We could certainly... we could certainly focus on that same idea of how does, like, the social structure among men, like, you know, the pursuit of masculinity in a puberty-dominated world. I think, you know, I'm not saying it should happen, but I think it would be an interesting twist.
I don't think that would really work. Also, you can just watch, like, Freaks and Geeks, and that kind of deals with that.
Freaks and Geeks is great.
Great show.
Judd Apatow.
Great show.
Yep, Judd Apatow.
Great
With
show. Also,
cast.
I'm also going to say this: Lord and Miller, this great television show on the line of great television shows that deserve to be watched. That I actually do want to see a movie of this. Have any of you heard of Clone High?
I've just known it because it's the first project that they worked on. That's all.
Right, Lord and Miller. It's essentially what if famous cultural figures were cloned to become teenagers in high school. Boom! It's a great show, and I think it deserves a movie, live action style. I would love to see how they would take that concept, put it in real life, and make it sort of like the new Mean Girls, but like not really, sort of just because of the teenage phenomenon. It sort of sits, and how 10 years later it'll become just as popular.
Isn't there like a show like Monster High that does that same thing? Isn't that a thing?
That's not the same thing. It's much different. It's based off a brand of dolls, dude.
Okay. I guess my final word on that, Max, would be the point of Mean Girls would be lost if you gender swapped, because it is called Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Yeah, I mean,
Mean Boys is kind of redundant.
I wouldn't say call it Mean Boys, but I mean, I would just say like, I mean, it would. I think it would just maybe have the same setting and like not the same characters, but still just focus on the idea just on the male side. Like, I think there's something in there. I don't know.
Or you could watch Boyhood.
I'm going to like right after this. So.
I loved it. I was surprised how I loved it.
That's the last movie I have to fill out my Best Picture ballot. So.
Go see it. Okay.
So, Sean, let's get to your idea.
Let's get to my idea, which is so amazing. I've built up for 53 minutes. Wow. We need to make these shorter. Well, you two are the ones that went on and on about Ghostbusters. Who cares about Ghostbusters? Anyway, so my idea is pretty simple. A little while ago, we were talking about Ridley Scott, yes? Well, the news recently broke that the long-rumored, awaited by some, including myself, Blade Runner sequel was coming out, and the news was that Ridley Scott won't be directing. So Whitley, congratulations, he's not touching it.
Oh well,
I don't mind Ridley Scott. Someone who made the first Blade Runner I'll always give them the benefit of the doubt.
Just tell yourself to not be stereotypical.
What? No, because I actually have a really good idea. Shut up. You don't know. You don't know.
Let me hear the idea. Come on.
Okay. So you basically, and of course, as soon as they said he wasn't directing, where did my mind immediately go to who should direct the Blade Runner sequel?
Can I take a guess?
You're going to take a wild guess. Like
Chris Farley.
Yes. No. Of course.
No. Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. His style would be very well suited for this depressing, dreary sci-fi world. And the noir-style characters, and I think
as we all know, if anybody's good at making things dreary, it's Christopher Nolan.
But in the best way possible.
And Robert Rodriguez, but also Christopher Nolan.
Then I was thinking, what if I would actually prefer a Blade Runner remake to a sequel that he took over. Now, here's what I would want, though. I'd want it to be a little closer to the book. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It's a weird name, but that's what the book is called. Did they ever answer
that question?
I don't know what that question is, to be honest.
I haven't read the book. I don't know either.
But I would like the idea because I've heard it's a huge departure. I want it to be somewhere in the middle, give like book fans a bit more, but make it familiar for the movie fans. And it could be the Blade Runner, whatever you want to call it. And it would have Deckard, your main character. He'd be a Blade Runner chasing replicants, and he'd be Deckard again because that's in the book too. He would be chasing some replicants, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be Roy Batty and Pris and I can't remember there. It wouldn't be J.F. Sebastian. These characters wouldn't come back. You grab more book characters, make your own narrative, so it would feel similar but not exact. All right, so you go along kind of closer to the book, and I would also want the concept of is Deckard a replicant more heavily kind of dealt with, because that's something that fans take from the movie that isn't as explicit as in the book. So you make that a thing. Is Deckard a replicant? Which is, if you don't know, it's pretty much an android. It's what a replicant is. And he has imprinted memory, so he wouldn't know. It's a cool concept. Anyway, you play with that more. Now, you guys are probably thinking, what are you talking about, Sean? This isn't a twist. You're just describing a remake. This is a waste of time.
Well, besides for the director. Go on.
Okay, so here's what happens.
Oh boy, here we go.
There's a
56
gunfight.
minutes of build-up.
There's a gunfight, okay? He's fighting some replicants, right, Deckard? Oh, by the way, my ideal casting I came up with, I would want Fassbender as a Deckard. I think he could really pull that off.
I think it could totally work.
Yeah, so that was just my pick. So anyway, we've got our Deckard running around. He's fighting some replicants, right? In a shootout. Boom, boom, boom. Action, action, action. Oh no, he's cornered. Right? He's cornered by some replicants. One, let's say. All hope, it's the all is lost moment, right? And then a gunshot comes out and blasts away that replicant. Deckard is saved. He looks to who fired the gun. And who fired the gun? Harrison Ford.
What?
What?
We're going all Terminator Genesis on this.
No, I am not actually. Harrison Ford.
Well, that's what happens. Arnold Schwarzenegger is in Genesis, and like he's older than the new self.
It's not. No, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
Oh,
it's actually.
so Harrison Ford's playing a different character.
When we talk about reboots, remakes with a twist, this reboots/remakes twist is it's a sequel. So here's the concept. It is implied that Deckard is a replicant, which means he's an android, but he doesn't know it. He's been given implanted memories. And so he's also established as the best Blade Runner the Force has. He's always the best at taking out these replicants. And then at the end of Blade Runner, spoiler alert, he leaves with Rachel, who's also probably a replicant, actually confirmed to be a replicant, to live together for as long as they have as replicants. They don't know. They don't know how much longer they have, and they leave, and it's a very ominous ending, whether or not they make it, whether or not they actually will have any time at all. It's a very good ending, and I'm talking about the director's cut. The regular cut ending is the worst. Anyway, and so the idea of this sequel is pretty simple. Deckard is a replicant, which is pretty much confirmed in the book I've heard, and everyone thinks he's a replicant from the movie. And so the idea of a replicant is android with implanted memories. So basically, it turns out that Deckard is just the name and memories they give to their replicant Blade Runner. So they make a new android, and they shove the same memories in. We even know the character that the memories came from in the movie, so you just shove his memories in there. So you make a Michael Fassbender android, and you shove in the memories, so he's kind of the same character. You know, he has the same background and stuff. It'll be played a little differently, just because it's a different role for the actor, but it'll feel very similar. But then the sequel is that he learns the truth. The original Deckard learns the truth, comes back, teams up with the new Deckard. They take down this evil corporation or whatever that's doing this. I don't know. They got some goal. But I love the idea of you pretend it's a remake and you just punch people in the face. No. Sequel.
Oh, yeah. Hasn't that been done before? I feel there's
the whole
a movie
clone thing has been in other sci-fi films.
Oh, well,
not clone, but like engineered and built-in memories and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's been done before.
I'm trying to think that there's been a movie where like we all thought it was just like a remake or something, and it ended up being something different, like a sequel or something. There has to be a movie I'm thinking about.
I
don't know. It's lost.
Is it new? Wait, let's see. I mean, you could sort of say Days of Future Past was under that moniker, but there we
go. That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Days of Future Past. That's what happens.
And you could also argue the Godzilla movie. We all thought it was going to be kind of a remake of the original, and it turned out to be just kind of like...
I don't think you guys understand my premise. It's just a straight sequel. There's no Days of Future Past rewriting.
I know, but it's just it's reminding me of just sort of taking an idea and just creating something totally different from what we originally expected.
Yes.
The idea to be.
But we know exactly what Days of Future Past. All right. Well, anyway,
it's not exactly, but I do like your concept. I would like to see that happen.
I would love to see it, but I also would like to acknowledge it's literally impossible because you couldn't film Harrison Ford for enough time that it wouldn't get leaked.
Harrison Ford is awesome.
And he's on set and he's in costume and he's like, you couldn't hide it is the problem. Yeah. If this was pre-internet, you might be able to get away with this and it would be so amazing to be able to have people sit down expecting something and then bam, it is a sequel to Blade Runner. And then eventually I'll make my prequel movie, which I have in my head, which is brilliant, which is called Android's Dream. But we'll get to that another time.
Blade Walker?
No. That's lame. Go to the corner, Max. Go to the corner. That was lame.
Oh man, who's gonna host the episode now that he's in the corner?
I will. So this has been a fun time. We talked about the remakes and stuff, but we should
okay. Sean, you can drop the act.
And by the way, I just want to say, I was looking up some details about that 12 Angry Men remake. It looks pretty much detail for detail, plot for plot, recreation. Not mine. So mine would be different. I just want to make that call.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Does anybody have, like, before we get going, does anybody have any, like, last minute, like, super, kind of what we did right before Sean went, like, super, like, really, like, just in a sentence remakes with a twist, like, anything like that? I feel like there's one, like, right on the tip of my tongue that I just cannot think of at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, you could say something totally wacky, like, I don't know, Crucible Vampires. Something, but, I don't know how much weight it would have.
Crucible I don't even, okay.
Exactly. It makes no sense. But
Inherit the Wind, but it's the Ferguson trial. That way, actually.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
But it's the Ferguson trial?
But it's the Ferguson trial.
Oh,
whoa,
nice.
Well now.
I'm just saying, it could totally work.
I think we should just wrap this up.
It's coming from the vision of a child. It's coming from the...
It's funny. Right. We talk about these remakes and reboots. We never even mentioned Americanization. The idea of taking a property from another country and turning it into an American film. We strictly stuck to American remakes and reboots. Except Strangers on a Train, I think, is a British film, but like what I mean is like...
I mentioned Snowpiercer. That is based off of a...
that is based off of a comic book, and that is an international movie. But we didn't go from like this, like, Japanese anime should be adapted into an American thing, or this sort of Swedish novel should be adapted into an American film. Like
it's hard to do that because I'm not really familiar with too many foreign source materials.
Yeah.
So.
But I think we should get into that at some point. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Our question for you, since you've been patiently waiting, and we appreciate that, is what kind of remake with a twist would you like to see? And you don't have to just like say it in a sentence, like describe it, explain it out, tell us. And maybe you can be featured alongside Whitley if he also responds.
You will.
And remember, it doesn't have to be just you don't have to just reply to the YouTube video. You can also, add us at Twitter. We're at RULE3RDS.
All the links are in the description anyway.
Yeah, all the links are in the description. You can also send us an email, rulethirds@gmail.com. That's RULETHIRDS@gmail.com. So that's good. So just, and that in mind, guys, it was a good time. Just a little over an hour, but it's good. We had a good discussion today. With that in mind, my name is Max.
My name is Sean. I have to make up for you, Max. Sorry, I just had to.
My name is Larry.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Bye, guys. Oh, man. Are we ever going to live that down?
Nope.
And my name is Sean.
I'm just going to make it worse and worse each time.